Okay. All right, you two. So I am not in the video. You two are.
Okay.
And if you would each introduce yourself and then spell your name to make sure that I get it correctly.
S-T-R-O.
Nope, I got you on that one.
And I'm Russell Hendricks with 2 S's and 2 L's and an Hendricks.
And no relation to Jim.
No relation.
Okay.
Although my cousin's high school friend parents had Jimmy's father as gardener in West Seattle.
Really?
That's our legend. So I'm kind of famous.
Yeah. Hey, dirt towel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Get it where you can.
So I want to start off with, let's go back to, I'm trying to capture the era of the 70s. And I want to know the humble beginnings of how you each got to Duvall.
Okay, Paula, you go first.
When I was 16, I went to the next application. I got this start, which I never did. I was in San Francisco going to art school, and my teacher brought Larry, my first husband, class, specifically to me. and Larry talked me into coming up here.
Because you had remembered the peninsula.
I wanted to live in Washington or Vermont, which I did.
And so how old were you when you did decide to move up here? Okay. And
I did make
so where did you first land?
on a porch in the district. Then it got really cold, and moved to Redmond Farm, which is now Rocket Research. Then the little house in Kirkland that we had a cow and chickens. We were right there in town. And then
Do you remember the farm that you were on?
Rocket.
Like, but the family name? Was there a family name? No.
I know I had Jack.
Uh-huh.
Like hundreds of Jack. Right? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google
It was a
rocket
big
research.
run down building. Really water that worked about 10%.
From a well?
No,
Okay.
Kind of a hillside spring.
yeah. Had a barn. That's falling down.
And was that a piece of property you purchased or
No,
you
no.
just landed on?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got to purchase in Duvall? Okay. Off of Fay Road. And how many neighbors did you have back in 1977?
I had Pam Darnell that was up there, and the boss house here. We were original owners for Mrs. O'Connor.
They bought it in the 1930s, right at the stump farm.
They bought and There was somebody else who was down there that some place down there, but I didn't. I don't.
Was it
and
heavier?
then someone with
but down the road from 116?
yeah, across the table.
Just straight
Oh,
across.
okay. Okay. And was it heavier forested back then?
Up there was forested that they cleared all, and it was up there they cleared 30 acres beyond that they cleared at the last year. But that forest was there, it was a lot shorter. It had been logged about 30 years before we got. And we didn't put down.
Yeah. That's amazing. But yet they don't look old growth. They look solid. They are second growth.
They are. They're probably approaching, I think, somewhere around 100 years.
Yeah.
80 to 100 years.
Yeah, we have a big stump or two that's the old growth. They're big. Well, that one behind is probably.
Oh my
next
goodness. Okay, I'm gonna take a picture of that. That's huge.
It's a bigger one up there.
Wow. Oh. Okay, and Russell, you soon followed?
A few years later, I grew up in South Seattle and went tree planting in '76 and ended up down in Oregon and then Montana and then over on the Olympic Peninsula and then back to Montana where I ran into an old girlfriend that was living here in Carnation and I came back with her just temporarily on a lark. Ran out of money and ran out of a girlfriend and was stuck there. That was 1980. And never really intended to stay, but just one thing led to another. What, 40 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah. And the girlfriend that was a Carnation girl?
No, she was a squaw girl that was just out here living somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, fast forward to here we are today. You two are a couple.
Yeah.
How did this coincidentally happen? And I know there might be two different stories, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we were friends for yeah. Yeah. I was married. And my husband left me and Russell showed up
I love that.
a week later.
Oh,
Good timing.
yeah. Well, there's a pretty big line forming, and I panicked and fought my way to the head of the line.
And I would say, you being an art student, a tree planter, at being a farmer, I would call you guys hippies. Long
Yes.
hairs, as Denny prefers me to call him.
I never thought of myself. Other people thought I could.
How would you title yourself culturally?
Ooh.
I don't think
Yeah, boy, that's a real stumper there. It's I'm kind of a hippie logger farmer.
So a man of what we used to all be back then, where we had to do and know everything in order to make ends meet.
Or at least pretend to know everything.
try
Yeah.
to do it.
At least
What
try
you
to.
don't do it at all.
Yeah.
That might be more accurate.
Yeah. And so tell me about growing up, Duvall. You get here, you're now together. What makes you love Duvall? I mean, 40 years is 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, I kind
Yeah.
of miss involved. I do fire department, stop traffic, so it's just like uphill.
Right in downtown Duvall.
Yeah, right downtown. But I mean, it's a beautiful place. Friends here, like
And back then in the 70s, what did you do for a livelihood?
I think.
Yeah.
Well, I worked at the bookstore for 8 years or something, but I'm not sure I started working at 7. I didn't have much of a
You
life.
did odd jobs to make things new. You
Yeah, I
did
did.
silage and
Yeah, I piled silage in the summer.
Do you remember who you worked for doing silence?
the forest.
Yeah, well,
Oh, okay. Down on Valley Road, the old Wallace place. Yeah. And so what I love is that you just did whatever it took to make ends meet while following. Yeah. But
lived in a one-room shack without running water, without electricity for a while. But yeah,
Oh, food
so
sometimes.
I just have food, would have to firewood. But yeah,
tell me
She knew
more.
what she wanted to do, and she was willing to make the sacrifice to do that,
Yeah.
which I always admired.
Did you think that was not normal? Or
well, yeah, I think it's different.
that's true. You were in California. So you knew the comforts of life.
Oh, definitely. Nice. Comfortable stuff, not rich.
Yeah. And then what kind of toys did you
I think, stuff, yeah. Well, I showed, but
I-
the studio.
Is it the felt? The felt I've seen?
Well, I do make things with felt. I don't do felt. They're sewing animals, clothesline.
And how did you market your product back then?
Much the same way I do it now.
Right now? Yeah.
Yeah. Although, right now.
But did I sit across from you guys when we did the planks, walk the planks? Were you? Yeah. Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, you had a booth there?
I was Duvall Historical Society.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And that's when,
Paula had her toys there.
okay. And I didn't go look, but I had thought, oh gosh, I thought they were felt, but I'm going to have to. Yeah. And how did you learn to do that?
Yeah, right.
And so, Russell, would you consider her? And you said you admired that about strong woman.
Yeah, outwardly very kind of, my family calls her Pretty Paula because she dresses so nicely when she goes out.
Not on the farm.
Not so nicely on the farm. She's kind of in between that now. So a lot of people have this idea that she's this delicate, frail little creature. Oh, here, let me pick that up. But she's really this like strong person that has a will that will not bend. So one learns to bend one's own will. Well, I'm not saying you're unreasonable. I'm just trying to build up your strength and how I see your strength, and you're not unflexible, but yeah, we learn to bend both our wills to get things accomplished by agreeing on some kind of plan. So yeah, I did see it as a very strong person. A really nice combination of that delicate womanly thing that we all like and that really strong toughness that we also like.
That it takes to survive in a shack without running water for a little while,
Yeah,
18 years, but not a little
or
while.
18 years. Yeah, and then you guys built a house, or how that come about?
Paula and her ex
Okay.
built this house. In the meantime, I had found my
Sort of.
footing and bought a place up Scalzo Creek and built a little place up there out of recycled lumber, kind of the same later time period. So I actually finished it and put in insulation and sheetrock and running water and electricity. It was being a little bit more in step with the modern world. But when we got together, I talked her into coming up and living with me, and we emptied this house down to the studs and redid the whole thing. We hired contractors to do a lot of the stuff because I was still logging at the time. But then we did all the finish work and built the cabinetry and did all the woodwork and all that. It took 4 years. But
And
so
how
then
did
when
you
that was
learn
done-
your skill? So if you're doing cabinetry, did someone teach you, or did you learn the same
Paula
way?
found a book in the bookstore and said, Russell, you might want to build cabinets. Here's a book that tells you how. And so
Books are kind of amazing.
yeah, books are really wonderful things. They're like YouTubes, only you have to read them. And so, yeah, I built my first little bit of cabinets up at my house, and then I did the cabinets here, and someone saw the cabinets here and wanted cabinets, so I built them cabinets, and then that kind of, and so I segued from logging, and at the same time, I had a health issue in my inner ear, which really messed with my balance, so running around on trees in the woods wasn't really going to make it anymore. So I segued into doing cabinets for a while.
Really? And what kind of, did you buy the equipment, or did you do everything by hand?
Oh, no, I like power tools.
Okay.
So I bought used power tools, just kind of the basics to get through,
Yeah.
make basic stuff, real things.
So the cabin up in Stossel,
Yeah,
still around?
still around. I still own it. I have a friend up there that's retired and living on very little money, so it suits his lifestyle quite well. He's happy and he's keeping the place heated, and
Mhm.
I still have access to it. Good friend. So
Do you remember what year you built that one? Around?
it was mid-80s. No, it was more towards
We lived in the,
the
there was a
90s.
trailer there.
Yeah,
He lived there
for quite a
while he
while.
paid the land off.
So that was 5
And then
years.
the
So
land
it's,
was
yeah,
paid
yeah,
off
it was
the
the
house.
early 90s.
And you did it
You might
yourself?
want to scratch this.
Yes. Back to this house?
Oh, yeah. The address. What's the over there?
Come on, Glenn.
English sheepdog, yeah?
Border Collie Schnauzer.
Oh, that's not, he's really old. I'm gonna go get it and bring him.
Oh, like who are these strange voices?
Yeah. But if you could hear him. He's deaf and blind and had strokes this late summer.
Oh.
But he's hanging in there.
Yep.
Enjoying life.
Being where he most appreciates.
Yeah.
So Russell, something that I observed and appreciated about you guys a couple of years ago, me being fourth generation, finally immersing myself back into the culture of Duvall. I watched you and Paula but you are very hip to the arts scene. You support the culture.
Yeah.
What part of that is you? Is it the community piece? Is it I like art?
So far, all the above.
Okay.
Um, Paula, of course, being an artist and making her living at doing art, has done fairs and events around here ever since she started. So that kind of put her into that. And I've always been attracted to people that, like art, music, and just those basic things. So for me, it was just kind of a slow interest in seeing what gave me enjoyment.
I think where I first saw you it was at Beijing. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Oh, yeah.
There was a chorus that we're singing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And what I appreciate about you guys is even with COVID, is that you show up and support the community
It's outside.
if it's outside.
Yeah, if it fits our
Yeah, we have
standards.
both
I mean, protocol, the COVID
Yeah.
protocol,
Yeah,
which doesn't always do, so we avoid it.
yeah. It's easier not to. So I completely
Yeah.
understand.
I think stringent maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Has have you been able to continue your fairs, or does that look different?
Well, I did the walk bike because that was pretty small
Yeah,
and I wore a mask. But no, I haven't.
yeah.
It's been kind of nice to have a break.
It's kind of what they call retirement in a sense.
Uh-huh.
I have to go back to work this summer, but
Both of us are really happy just being at home as it is.
Yeah.
And
always plenty.
not overly social. We do fine in social gatherings, but not people that seek it, that have to have that all the time. So I was a little worried that with COVID and drawing back and cutting down your contacts and we did. We really, it's just so nice to just stay at home and every day just get up and not have a schedule. But that when it's time to come back out into the world, it's kind of hard. We're kind of reluctant. It's not. It's more of just that we're hanging on to this way of life that brings joy. So we're still selective to our
I
events.
do like that.
Yeah,
Did you make a costume? You know,
floats.
Well,
yeah. When you say
Uh,
floats,
well, because it's March of Vegetables and there's no motorized vehicles or anything.
uh-huh.
Paula has the float. We're not revealing it.
Okay.
But it's on a red rider wagon. So that's
They're
the
small.
motivate the wheels for her.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing Paula's best of over the years. So I have a large wooden wagon that I built that's going to have some of her best of sculptures, paper mache sculptures from the previous parades.
Not much. That's
I haven't.
Oh,
No.
just
I was planning it on this year because it's more in the, I think it's 3 o'clock. Yeah. My life is my mom. And so she's usually up and about by 1.
oh,
So I don't like leaving her. Another really good COVID excuse was like why I need to stay at home,
right,
you know,
right.
because I'm protecting
No,
her.
it's a very noble excuse. You're protecting your mother. That's, no one can argue with that one.
Right. And it's really comfortable. Like being at home and being okay with yourself.
Yeah.
Like that's where I know and I admire about you two. Absolutely comfortable being yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to communicate, not as well as you did.
Yeah. But where do you think that came from?
I think it's a lifelong thing with both of us. Paula talks about how when she was a little child, she doesn't sleep real well. And so she'd be in her room at night when everybody else was sleeping, entertaining herself.
My mother said I always knew who I was. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and let me expand
much
why.
to her exasperation.
I was going to say, you probably wore her out.
Well, yeah, I think I was a good child. Although I was
Right. But you had your own personality, which made you that strong woman that can pretty much read a book and accomplish the task.
or just make it up as I go along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And society wise, how about who are your friends? Let's talk decades. You're first here, you're hanging out, you're married to Larry, your incarnation. We have Hippie Henley, we have Danny Redmond.
Of course, I met Danny right away because Larry King had the business partnership. I met Mike Ball at the street fair before I moved here, and then everywhere I went, Mike Ball was there. It was kind of, it was like, so it was kind of like I had to be friends with him. And then I moved to Duvall, and he lived here, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So Mike was an early friend. Jolie moved up here because he went to college with my house. Jolie was a good friend. Douglas Johnston went across the street. Was an early friend. And I'm Mike's gone, but I'm still friends with all these people.
Yeah.
Various friends of mine moved out here from Seattle. That's what Houston and Terry. But they're, I think, my most recent friends up here. And I don't know, you just knew everybody back in the old days.
Yeah. Like I'm
I worked
thinking
at the bookstore.
the truck stop.
Yeah.
Uh,
People knew each other. It was a small town. There was only 700 people in Duvall.
Yeah. And I just listened to the state of Duvall with the mayor.
Oh, I didn't know that happened.
Yes, they did. She visited the chamber last week, and so I heard the number of like 8,300 Duvall residents. So just to compare to the 700 in the late 70s, early 80s.
And it was nice because you knew everybody. I mean, you didn't know just hippie people or you
Right.
knew everybody. You knew everybody, all walks of life and
The dairy farmers and
occupations,
the loggers and
ages.
the
That was
hippies and
really
the
nice.
artists and the, yeah.
So
Bikers.
what about, like, where did you grocery shop in the 80s?
Well, I thought it was nice. And occasionally Stillwater didn't have a great grocery store. I always had to buy it.
Seriously, that's not the
Um,
only one of which is true.
uh, oh, we used to go to a store in Redmond. I don't remember what it was, but it's where the Value Village was. It used to be a grocery store. We would go there maybe once a month.
And hardware?
Well, we always shop.
Hardware.
Tigers,
Yeah, that's why I'm very excited.
And that,
That
so
Williams Brown.
that building's still there. Did he have a lumber yard behind that building or what? I don't remember what that looked like.
Oh, no, there's parts of that building that we.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the lumber was.
Yeah, I love that. It's been in there.
Yeah.
And there's one part we used to go in there all the time when it was tuxedos.
Yes.
And I love that one room. There's a gutter that comes in and spills through the room and goes out. I mean, it was just so totally Duvall, and I hope it always stays that way.
Yes. And that's probably why it sits vacant sometimes.
Yeah,
is that
I'm sure.
it's culturally, we're fine with that.
Yeah, hey, good idea. That works.
Anything in a building like that.
Yeah. What about Silver Spoon, which is infamous
Yes.
for Duvall and art and food, really good food. Beeson's.
Had studios upstairs in the Grange, when it was in the Grange building. And they had this paper up there. They had a little thing, and Mike had it where mostly because of his laundry, but sometimes he did art. Had a little space. Yeah, there's space. Yeah. Can't remember. Quite had a
So it wasn't studio apartment. It
No,
was
it's
like
studios.
a little space to do work.
Yeah, but then the Beesons wanted to put entertainment up there. Something. So.
Yeah. And did you bank at Seafoods?
I had all my money in the check and I paused it and had it back. And I said, but I need money to live on. I mean, I think I
Oh,
just
they
wanted,
wanted to hold it. For
yeah, I think I wanted
days.
$50 or something, and they wouldn't let me take any money out. So as soon as I had to wait 3 months or so, I took all the money. No, it wasn't the Duvalls. I took all my money out.
Yeah.
Put it in a different bank.
Oh my goodness.
But eventually, I banked it. It was right across the street from the store. And I
So being a book lady, what do you think of Google today?
I don't want
You've transitioned.
I'm not thrilled about Amazon. The goal was to put everything out of business and pretty much succeeded.
Right.
Because it's just not the same as books.
Smelling the pages.
Finding books you never knew you wanted. And so, yeah,
What's your favorite book?
I have favorite authors.
Okay, there we go.
Vince and John Steinbeck, Louise Erwin, and Mary Doyle. That's it.
So getting back to, we're changing. Duvall is, our demographics are very different. Me being a farmer feels odd if I go into town dressed like but I don't want to stand out. Right? How have you guys adapted to the change?
I won't say that we haven't. We go in there in our river with the security.
Then I have a lesson. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We were at a bakery once and we had both out on rubber boots. Farm clothes, and someone came and said, "You do for a living?" Like, I thought, this is what everybody looked like.
And then the look of surprise on someone's face when we're dressed up to go into town or something, and we stop by the grocery store and they'll like, "I've never seen us clean clothes." So yeah, we can clean up. Do it.
Yeah. And moving forward, how do you see, you never had children?
No, no one of us had kids.
What is your ultimate goal? Now that you have this new normal of, hey, it's comfortable being at home.
That's always been
Yeah.
Yeah.
very settled, very.
Well, I would say that my goal, and I think Paula might agree with a little bit, is just keep on doing what we do and
Stay healthy, be
stay
happy.
as healthy as we can, and just see it through to the end. You know, hopefully fall with my face into the work.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Maybe-
don't mean work, but whatever you're doing, the work, the good work, whatever. You know, it's like when the time comes, at least fall into the work. Get a little something done on my way down.
And still maintaining that artsy piece of you or that cultural piece of you. What does that look like? How can we carry that? How can we keep that alive? Like the DFA, Duvall Foundation of the Arts, Duvall Historical. And you said sometimes you don't know how to zip it and you have a good opinion, but it's an important opinion.
Well, it's yeah. I think all these DFA and the historic, you know, I think these are all great, and everybody's doing a great job. I really admire people that put their time, all this voluntary time, into doing these projects, and I support them fully. And I guess it's just not my vision that. It's not saying that it's wrong. I don't know how to say this.
Well,
It's,
I think both of us like, we don't mind doing the work. We like doing the work, but
That's
sitting
what I was
around
doing.
talking about endless, it's just like, we could be doing something, not just sitting around talking about what we should be
and the
doing.
work
That's
you mean
really
by
sad.
doing your art.
Well, no, I mean, I don't mind doing work for
Oh,
other
yeah.
people or,
Yeah.
getting stuff done, but just sitting around talking about it endlessly it's really hard.
Yes. But
So we're not very good on committees, I guess is what.
Yeah, we're not committee people, that's for sure.
you're task
We're
oriented.
more task oriented, yeah. Which I guess is a weird thing to say for someone that's not very goal oriented.
But the people who are committee oriented
Well, it all
and
needs to be
organizing
done.
and doing all that
Yeah.
are very, very important people. And
It
they're
all
doing
that
really
needs to be
important
done.
work.
It's just not something either one of us are very good at. that
Right.
part.
No, I get that, and I think that shows not just for you guys, but bureaucracy takes a long time nowadays, and that is contemporary, and it takes forever to get nothing done. And our folks, our people, are not like that. Meaning, down to earth people. You
I
just
guess I don't think of myself that down to earth clouds, but yeah. Well,
Yeah, well,
there was going to be a buying co-op, and I went to the first meeting. It took 2 hours, and all they decided was when the next meeting was going to be. And I thought, I don't think I'm going to be in this food buying co-op. We have other things to do.
so taking that perspective, being task oriented. What do you have any plans for yourselves in the next couple of years? Are we adding a bedroom to the house? Are we rebuilding the chicken coop? Are we
That'd be nice. Not gonna put a 2-year limit. Might maybe finish the kitchen.
This kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on a studio right now, so that's probably the focus for the next year. And
Well,
pretty soon Russell's gonna be planting the garden. Summer has its own.
summer takes up a lot of time.
Yeah. And so where's the garden perspective from?
It's that red roof over there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the neighbor's building, but my garden, you can actually see the gate.
I see it.
Okay, so that's the garden. It's ever expanding. It's.
How many square feet?
I'm thinking. What did I figure? I think I had like 4,000 square feet of garden, but that might be a little.
Was that for the blueberries?
No, but it includes the salad garden.
Oh.
And this.
Then we have
You know, we have a blueberry patch, and we have various little orchards.
I mean, that's full time.
kind of
It can be during the growing season with the canning and the freezing and drying.
which
that
Russell
goes
does,
to.
not me.
Yeah, that's more of my thing.
Is the canning and the
Well, the whole garden thing, more or less. I mean, Paula certainly throws in her.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I might help feel. Yeah.
She found usually that when I'm canning, it's best just to not be around.
have you ever thought about teaching anybody that trade? Has anybody ever been interested?
Oh, there's a lot of people who are interested, and there's people teaching.
There
Yeah.
are.
People are more interested in butchering animals, which
Oh,
Russell
that's
doesn't
a-
particularly
wow.
enjoy. Yeah, I mean, that's what you get asked
all
about.
aspects. Oh, yeah, I've gotten asked a little bit about butchering that. Once again, I'm not an expert, so it's kind of hard for me to be a teacher. When people want to know how they can, I go, well, go get the Joy of Cooking book. It tells you everything you want to know. Follow the instructions. It's easy. Really, it's easy. Just do it.
I mean, because probably that's how you learn. Paula
That
came
is how
home
I learned.
with the joy of
Well,
cooking.
actually,
You
before we
gave me
got
my first
together,
Joy
yeah,
of
before
Cooking.
we got together, he came in and asked, and I went, well, you need a Joy of Cooking. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, because I was doing this stuff when I was single. It wasn't just a married life thing. I always kind of wanted to have this cupboard full of canned goods and the whole meat thing, and at some point I realized, well, if you want it, Russell, you're just gonna have to do it. You know, no one's gonna do it for you. So I started doing it. So I was already involved in that before Polly came along.
And is it something that you still continue to enjoy versus someone might look at that's a lot of work?
Yeah, well, it's both.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the product, but I haven't made jam yet this year. I have all the berries and fruit and stuff in the freezer waiting for that, but I
Yeah.
can always think of something else to do.
Right.
Once you do it, you're giving up a whole day or 2 or 3 for the whole process of cleanup and cleaning the jars and like, you know, it's just the ongoing process.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fresh fruits I do. If I'm canning the whole fruit, just straight canning, you got to do that when it's fresh, right? You can't
Yeah.
just wait. The jam, you can put the stuff in the freezer and make that in time.
And then do you make enough to sustain a whole year? Or is it just hit or miss depending on the harvest?
Yeah, it's hit or miss depending on the harvest. I'm always expanding the garden and expanding how much we can grow.
We have fruit that we grow on throughout the year, but we don't.
So it's getting to the
Store.
point now that,
Yeah.
you know, just about every meal will have some elements from the farm in the meal.
Yeah.
Elements from Costco, elements from Cherry Valley Grocery. We probably could sustain ourselves. It would be, as I always say, it'd be really boring. What? Potatoes again? Or the jar jammed is eaten up. But you know, it's worst came to worst, and we had to sustain ourselves. We could.
Yeah.
But it's so much more fun to have all these exotic foods that are available out in the world
Oils, flowers.
to add to what we grow to make food
Grains.
interesting.
We don't grow it.
No.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, there's sugars, so many things around.
What's your favorite product to grow? And what kind?
Right. I have had problems with the blight, so I look for varieties that claim to be blight resistant. So the yellow fins and Yukon golds and finger potatoes. So I also read, like in Peru and potato land, a typical farm has 10 to 15 varieties, which protects you against the, because they have different resistance to different diseases. So it kind of protects you against that. The whole European Irish potato family
Yeah.
was because it was all from all of that. Brussels, Germany, England, France, Ireland, everybody came from one tuber. It was all one potato. And so when that blight hit that, it just ran through all of Europe and destroyed whole crops. So by having that variety, it protects you a little bit.
So one can go bad and you're still going to be okay.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. That's probably like
I had that in at my house. Yeah, everything just the plants wilted, potatoes were dig them up, and just blobs of goo and rot.
Uh-huh.
and
And
these are nice.
oh yeah, and you have 40 plants.
Yeah, 45.
And how old are they?
They're getting
Two of them are
10
really
years.
old.
Yeah, that's what inspired me to plant more.
Yeah.
They were from the original.
They're more-
More than 10. Yeah, they're good plants, and we get more than what we can eat. And I call friends, and they come and pick. And it's kind of a real fun thing to do. Everybody gets to come pick blueberries.
Yeah. Add me to the list. I just bought 2 plants myself that I get to put into the ground. I see behind us a black sheep. Paula, you had
Yeah,
mentioned.
that's my brother. Don't. No, we don't talk to him. Yeah.
I was one of the black.
And is it a ram?
Yeah.
And are you going to have babies?
Yeah. We didn't breed this year, but this fall, I'll put them together. He's the new blood, the new,
Uh-huh.
you know, gotta mix it up once in a while.
Right. And so with the sheep, how many sheep do you have and what do you do with them?
Right now, we have 11 sheep. Spend too much money feeding them during this time of year, and they have babies, and generally we slaughter any babies.
And you shear yourself?
No,
No.
I'm a lazy farmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually, you like to have pods that have each,
Yeah, and he's got Todd blood. He's not full blood, but he's got that.
but we kind of inherited after the last cougar slaughter. The sheep that all need to be sheared. We need to go back to shearing.
Right.
I remember that in my childhood. My grandfather said to my dad, like, "You don't get sheep. The dumbest farmers get sheep." And it was a lot of it,
Oh,
you know.
If you have to shear them that much, they're not. They're
we're gonna get all the time. So dumbest farmers. What are you saying,
Yes.
girl?
I've had a few cows. They were difficult.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it was always a single cow. They jump over fences, they destroy the fences.
And
The
that's
grass
my,
is always greener on the other
that's my
side.
defense of sheep. They are so easy to contain. They do not challenge the fence.
Yeah.
goats, cows, horses, you're always fixing fences or people are getting out. With sheep, they just totally respect the fence. They're very small hoof. This is really wetland around here. We have some high pastures, but a horse or a cow just, big
Yeah.
mud holes.
Ruin it.
Yeah. So they're real gentle on the ground and go through that really wet ground without making a much mess. And they taste really good. Just nothing but lamb burger.
But their
ribs.
main issue is that they're
Well, yeah. they are
They
big
draw
ones.
in the cougars.
They do, and we've had a real issue.
since we had our
But
girls.
we have two great parents.
It's amazing how those two alone have changed the dynamic.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But
Well, but then that's a whole nother
Yeah, they
Sure.
have their whole other
You know,
issues. It's complicated.
having two large dogs that are, they've never been out of the pasture
yeah,
other than to go to the vet.
Uh-huh.
They grew up with the sheep at the barn, and then when they got big enough to go out, they've been out there the whole time. So and that's a good way to do it because that keeps them independent minded. They don't look to you for instructions. They run the whole thing out there.
Yeah.
But it's hard to lead.
But yeah,
They're kind of special personalities.
they're not like other dogs.
Yeah.
So-
you have to cuddle with your husband over here.
Yeah, well, they're litter mates, which you're not supposed to have, but I didn't
Yeah,
do that.
that's brought up.
Has it been an issue?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh,
Just fight.
really?
Yeah.
but we worked it out.
Yeah.
I did a lot of reading, and we only wanted one, but when we went to get them, the woman wanted us to take both. Well, I went back and I read about having two, and I read all the stuff about how great it is to have two, but I didn't read about litter. It's not being a
Of course.
good idea.
And
Because
the
I
ti-
didn't ask that question. This is the trouble with Google. is
The
you have to
typical
ask the
couple
right
thing
question.
too is like we went and looked at these two puppies, and I said, "This one,
Uh-huh.
this is the one, Paula." And Paula said, "No, this
Yeah, I
is the
wanted
one."
the other one, so. And I have to say, the one I picked is the better sheep guardian.
Behavior.
Well, no,
Oh,
not better
well.
behavior, but better sheep guardian. No, she's actually the more difficult dog, but she's
Yep.
very high strung.
They're just now reaching their third year, which
Yeah.
accordingly is when they really fall into their stride.
But
And they are doing really
Their
good.
natural role.
Yeah.
yeah, and also if you have two Great Pyrenees, you should have two females, which of course they're both females. So, but I didn't ask that question.
To Google.
Yeah, I just asked about having two Great Pyrenees.
Well, Paula, smoke Paula's beauty.
Beauty was a horse.
But we separate them. They're together half a day, and they're apart half a day, and they sleep apart, eat apart, and that seems to work. Unless somebody gives them some food.
Unbeknownst. So, do you two mind if we take the phone? Are you able to walk this way to see the dog?
Yeah, they're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be a great way to wrap up. Is that I wanted, show this beautiful house that didn't get constructed by a blueprint. It's constructed by love and thought, and to see a farm that's still working. It's
can walk around
sustaining.
Farm, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you wanted,
I would love to see the dogs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you said your mom gets up at once. Probably
They're pretty scruffy.
Yes. Yes.
Although
Roger.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
they're better to visit separate.
Oh.
So this stump came with the property.
That's a western red cedar.
Wow. Diameter wise, 5 feet
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah, I think you're 4 to 5 feet, like that.